Hey there, Scrappy fans. I'm Lain Ehmann, and you have made it to 31 days of your scrapbooking Q&As. Today's sponsor is Simplify 101. Simplify 101's online classes making getting organized with a professional organizer affordable, fast, and fun. Find out more at simplify101.com. Well, hey there, and welcome back. You'll have to excuse the attire today. I'm about to head out to a baseball game for my son, Ben, and I wanted to pop in and answer today's question before I took off. So let me pull that up for you right now. Today's question comes from Barb, who asks, how can I cut down on the time it takes me to find paper for my layouts? I have patterns and cardstock well organized, and I even have some papers kitted. But every time I sit down to scrap, it takes me over an hour just to decide which papers I want to use. Why do I seem to have a mental block about just grab some paper and go and get to it? I'm tired of being so slow. Barb, I've got some ideas for you. The first step is to see why it's taking you so long to choose the paper. What exactly are you getting hung up on? Are you getting hung up on matching the paper to your photos? Are you getting stuck choosing that background paper to start with, or coordinating patterns, or just pulling it all together? Or are you stuck on a design? Really hone in on which step in the process you get stuck at. And one of my biggest suggestions for this is to just sit down and create a layout like you normally would. Don't try to change anything, but document, put a timer in front of you and document how long it's taking you at each step. For instance, it took me 5 minutes to select the photos. It took me 10 minutes to choose a page design. It took me 75 minutes to choose the cardstock for the background, and then 5 minutes to choose pattern paper. Lay it all out so you can see exactly what is taking the most time and where you're getting stuck in your process. My good friend and life coach Jennifer Loudon calls this a loss of transparency, and basically it means picking it out the point where it all falls apart. And that's what I want you to do. When does the process suddenly come to a grinding halt, and why is it? Do you get stuck, for instance, choosing that background paper because you're trying to match it perfectly to your photos? Or maybe you've got 3 different photos from different events and the colors don't exactly blend together, and so you really get stuck on choosing what the predominant color for your page is going to be. Or maybe that part's easy, but the coordinating of the patterns themselves is tough. So you know what colors you want, but choosing, does this floral go with this stripe, go with this dot, go with this plaid? Maybe that's where it gets stuck. So figure out where you're getting stuck and then find a way to go past that. So for instance, if you are stuck at the place where you're trying to find cardstock colors to perfectly match your photos, stop doing that. They don't need to be exactly the same. Go into a gallery and find a page where the colors don't match, where somebody's got a photo that's predominantly yellows and oranges and reds, but they've used a color like green for the background. See how that looks. Or you can avoid that altogether and go with a craft, a white or a black or other neutral background. Allie Edwards, several years ago, went through a process where she got rid of all her cardstock except for a very limited number of colors, and she sticks to those colors. So that's removed a whole question in her mind about what color I'm going to use because she only has 3 or 4 colors to choose from. So try that. Another solution would be to convert your photos to black and white. Then you can use any color you want and it's not going to clash. So think about that as well. But get past the idea of matching skin tone to the cardstock or red in a shirt to the cardstock. You don't need to do that. That matchy-matchy Garanimals approach is one perfectly valid way to approach a page, but if it's making you stuck, move on. Just set it aside, bypass it, and get on with the rest of your page. Keep reminding yourself, too, that the value in your scrapbook page is not in how well the colors blend together, but in the heart that you put into the page, the story, the love, the emotion that goes into the page. The colors are really secondary or even tertiary to the emotion and love that you're putting into that page. If you're getting stuck selecting pattern papers that blend together, I actually answered this question in a previous video, and I'll link it up in the resources on the layoutaday.com blog. But there are some really easy ways to go about matching pattern papers. And a great book for this is Ali Edwards' Designer's Eye for Scrapbooking with Pattern Paper, and I'll link that up as well. I'm not sure if it's still in print, but if you can get a hold of it, it's a great one. So anyway, I'll link you up to those resources, but here's what you need to do. Time yourself creating a normal layout, and don't try to rush yourself. Don't try to change anything. Just write down exactly how long it takes in each stage of the process. Then 2 is to devise some strategies for shortening that time. If it's a matter of the matching, we've already talked about that. If it's a matter of the pattern paper and pulling those together, we've talked about that as well. Some other solutions are scrap lifting, where you can just see what somebody else has done and then imitate it exactly on your page. That is totally okay to do if you're not submitting it to a publication. If it's for your own scrapbook, no problem at all to copy what somebody else has done. If you are going to submit to a gallery, though, I suggest you put in the notes on the page that you found inspiration in someone else's layout and link to that layout if possible. So those are some suggestions for helping you identify where you're getting stuck and how you can bypass or cut down on that process. A lot of it is just confidence too. Really just going through the process again and again and again until you get to the point where you intuitively know what looks good to you and what you're going to like in your scrapbooks. Also, watch some process videos, tune into Scrapbook Improv and see how other experienced scrapbookers do this, and you might get some tips there as well. Go back to the blog for tons of resources, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks again for your question. Oh, and if this video has been helpful, click like or click share or tweet it or pin it or share it on Facebook. I would love to share this message of answering your questions with other people. Thanks again, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.